This week, a private company, SpaceX, has been much in the news for its long-planned launch of a cargo ship to the International Space Station. The achievement is being hailed as a milestone for the private space industry, but it's also reignited buzz about space tourism, the idea that anyone who can afford a six-figure ticket will soon be able to take a ride into space. Hi, I'm Jeffrey Kluger, and this is Time Science. People have grown up with illusions that were created by movies like 2001, in which near-Earth space is filled with giant skyliners with Pan Am on the tail, and you can fly essentially as you would have in 1960s era first class. The problem is, it's a very, very hard, very expensive, and exceedingly dangerous thing to do. The acceleration alone from the surface of the Earth into space can be an almost bone-crushing thing. Even the Saturn V rocket, which was once called the old man's rocket because it was seen as a much more comfortable ride, was in fact a brutal ride, and that was seen as a Cadillac ride to space. There are two principal concepts for space tourism. There's the concept that Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson are pursuing, in which people would strap into what's essentially a winged missile, fly into suborbital space, experience a few minutes of zero-G, and then plummet back down to Earth.
All right, lift off and the clock is started.
That essentially recreates the suborbital flights that Al Shepard and Gus Grissom flew back in the early 1960s. There's also Bigelow Enterprises that's considering the even more ambitious idea of putting inflatable vessels in low Earth orbit, which can essentially serve as hotels.
A Russian company is building a new hotel in space, which is due to open in just 5 years' time.
The stay in low Earth orbit is probably not the kind of thing you want to bring your children along for, if only for the risks. Then you've seen what happens when kids get motion sick in cars. Motion sickness, space sickness, is a very real thing. Rusty Schweickart, who was one of the best and most capable Apollo astronauts who ever flew, got exactly one flight, Apollo 9, because he was almost disabled by motion sickness while he was in space. You could well pay $1 million, $2 million, $15 million for a stay in a hotel and spend most of it throwing up. There's a reason that NASA needed years before it was willing even to put a single person into suborbital space. There's a reason that even with the best minds and what is, by comparison to the private sector, unlimited funds, we still lost 14 people in the Space Shuttle program. Space tourism is terrific until people die doing it.